sometimes we have things in the oral tradition that seems very, very different from the written tradition, from the written Torah. So one example that I had like difficulty like years ago when like within my process of like coming close and getting strong in my faith in the Oral Torah, was the parasha of Balak, that it speaks about Bilam, right? So in the simple, like when you read the verses simply, seems like a great guy. He tells them, I cannot do anything without Hashem. Whatever Hashem is putting in my mouth, that's what I'm going to say. I'm nothing. I'm like everything is coming from Hashem. That was my kind of like interpretation of the simple verses. And then you read in the Oral Torah that he's like the most wicked guy, such a, doing terrible things, black magic, witchcraft, this, that, all kinds of, like dealing with like the worst of the worst. And, he's pretending to be righteous, but really is the worst of the worst. So, yeah, that was my, like, kind of my certain point of realizing that there is a way of how to relate to the psukim, and this is the tradition of Am Yisrael. Yeah? In other words, the written Torah anyone can take, and you see that like thousands, millions and billions of people all around the world, they took the written Torah and they read and they understand whatever they understand. And the difference between us and them is that we have a tradition how to understand it, and this is the Oral Torah. So to ignore our tradition of the Oral Torah and to put ourselves in the same box like the rest of the world that are relating to the verses of the Torah without the tradition, so like you didn't gain, you just lost. Like you have like a whole big treasure, full of keys that will lead you to, chambers upon chambers of treasures, and the highest wealth of the King of all kings. And you instead of using those keys, which is the Oral Torah, to go with our own thoughts and ideas of how to give the interpretation to the Torah. So the same thing is also about the golden calf. Yeah, when you read like the simple verses in the Torah, it seems like Aaron did it. Like he took the gold and he did the golden calf. But the Oral Torah is telling us no, he was trying to prevent them from doing the golden calf, and all what he was doing, he was trying to hold them back, but in a way that they will not understand that that's what he's trying to do, so that they will not kill him. So he was like trying to save time and like to until Moshe Rabbeinu comes back, and basically he took all the gold and he threw it into the fire, and then the golden calf came out. That's basically the interpretation of the that Rashi brings, the Midrashim, and obviously that's true. Like to ignore the oral tradition and to relate to the written verses per se without the understanding of the oral tradition. So it's a mistake. It's a wrong thing to do. And by the way, in the Zohar of Parashat Ki Tisa, there's like a big like insight of the spiritual kind of struggle that was there. That like I'm not gonna like go through the whole thing, but just to give like a certain highlight, it says there that there was like two main guys that were like the heads of the Erev Rav, they were like the big troublemakers. And it's not the Tan of Aviram that the Torah is telling us about. It's like two like other guys that the written Torah doesn't tell us anything about them. It's only in the Zohar. There is also speaks about it, but the source is there in the Zohar of the Parashat Ki Tisa. And like basically it described what they did as like a very, very advanced and sophisticated witchcraft process. And it's like, and it says there that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was crying, like when he was like speaking about it, he was crying. He said, Aaron, how did you let them like do this like witchcraft? Like you didn't understand what you're trying to do. You could have, like, if you something very simple that you could do was like preventing and breaking the whole process of their witchcraft, and you didn't do it. You didn't understand what they are doing. And from that point that the Zohar is emphasizing, I'm taking from that like important lesson that this is exactly the reason that we have to learn about the world of the negative spirituality, because when someone he has a position, like Aaron had, so he needs to know how to prevent those things from happening. So I'm not coming to say anything negative about Aaron Cohen, but I'm just using that lesson of the Zohar. And many people they say like, why the Torah is telling us all kinds of things about witchcraft? So this is the answer, because we have to know how to prevent it. Right. So when something is happening, when someone is trying to do something negative, a rabbi, someone that is like, he has like responsibility, he needs to know what's going on to make the right decision of how to manage things that, to God himself and the community and Am Yisrael and the world, B'ezrat Hashem. So that's a kind of a wake-up call that we can take from that. Anyhow, B'ezrat Hashem, Hashem will help all of us.